Hello class, and welcome back, and this is our talk number 2. On the last talk we deduced that the sequence circuit, the A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus works successfully, but when you start to mix up the sequence operations you can get trap signals, and we found that A plus, B plus had a trap signal problem before going to B minus, A minus, where another trap signal developed. And we deduced that these can be eliminated using the Cascade circuit method. We also deduced that if you split it into two halves, you could class the first half up to the trap signal as G1 and the second half could be classed as G2. So to do this, I've introduced another valve, another 5-port 2-position valve. And at the moment, this valve is connected to the manifold from the service unit and it delivers air out of G1, which is our start point. Of course, if this valve changed position, this part of the valve would cross and therefore the air at this point would go through diagonally and come out of G2. So we've separated air supplies between G1 and G2. So the first stage would be to say, where are we going to operate from? We've had the trap signal, we want to do A plus, we've changed to group 1, so I'm showing this valve in the group 1 position. So first and foremost, we could take group 1 air, which is the start point here for A+, and we could take group 1 air and we could supply group 1 air into the push button. So this push button is now ready to initiate the circuit. We press the push button and this 3-port 2-position valve, push button operated, sprung return, goes down and the air goes from this point through here diagonally, comes out, and now we go for stage 1, A+. So A+, and I'll put a tick on there for you, A+ has now gone forward into its forward position. Now, unlike the prior circuits where each valve was supplied by air directly from the manifold, to split the circuits, these valves are now supplied from either G1 or G2. So we know if A plus has gone forward in the G1 air supply, as it goes forward, this valve that it contacts to say I am in A plus position is going to be fed from G1. Now I'm writing a G1 in position there because it's easier and less cluttered than taking that supply down and feeding everything down to G1. So I'm eliminating some of the pipe work for you. As this goes forward, it hits this valve G1 and therefore the air goes through diagonally when it's being operated and it pushes the directional control valve over, and now this part of the valve goes across, air goes up through there diagonally, and B plus also goes forward. And it goes forward to this position, and this position is going to say B plus is forward, consequently this will also be on G1 air. However, we've now reached the trapped signal problem. So we need to eliminate G1 and the trapped signal. So this valve is not going to be able to ask B minus to take place. What it's going to do, it's going to take its signal when B goes B plus, and it's going to operate this valve, and it's going to effectively send this G1 through this internal line out of the exhaust and depressurize everything and remove the trap signal, and it's going to go across and also bring the air directly from the manifold out of G2. So G2 is now live and G1 is dead. So at this point G2 is going to take up from the point where it stopped. So G2 air, which is now online and now present, is going to supply this valve to push it back so B goes to B minus, and it will go to B minus because this G1 air is dead, the trap signal has gone. It goes back and I'm going to put a G2 there because G2 is now live. It goes back into the negative stroke, and when it goes to the negative stroke it can then operate the next stage, which is A minus. So this signal is going to come down, it's going to be fed and connect to the directional control there, and it's going to send A minus back. So it now retracts into its A minus position, so the sequence has been fulfilled. And of course this one is signalling from G1, but we can see sorry, from G2, but we can see that the trap signal is now present. So what it needs to do, it needs to eliminate G2 and bring on G1 again. So we can take this signal, which is the trap signal position, we can bring it down and we can swap the directional control valve back. And when we swap it back, G2 has been vented to atmosphere. The trap signal has been eliminated, plus the G2 supply, and we're now back online with G1. Of course, if the push button is pressed again, it will go through the sequence. If the push button was continually pressed, it would simply sequence continually until you remove your hand off the push button, and it will continue until it gets to this position here for A+, and it will wait patiently. This one valve does the changing for you. It's called the Cascade method. On more complex circuits, you can have multiple cascades in operation. On the next talk, what I want to do really is introduce 3 cylinders, and from those 3 cylinders, show you how to use the cascade within 3-cylinder movements. One other last point, and it's a point of interest and something that you are aware of, but as a gentle reminder to you really, if you wanted to delay an operation for, let's say for an example, when B goes B minus and then it signals to A minus, if you wanted a delay to be there for a few seconds, if you wanted it to be, then you can use a simple method. You can have a flow control valve, so I've put in a flow control symbol. We're going to put in also a parallel bypass on that. So I'm going to put in a check valve for you so it can get the air back freely out of the exhaust when it needs to. And we're going to add one last thing. We're going to add this symbol, which is a small receiver. So what we have now, we have really a delay timer. So the delay timer will take the signal when B goes to B minus. It will feed the air slowly through and fill this receiver. And it will fill dependent upon the volume of the receiver and how restrictive the flow control valve is. And you can adjust that, of course. So I will adjust that in theory to 10 seconds. And it will take 10 seconds to build up the pressure, fill that volume, and after the 10 seconds it will then operate what will be A minus. So using this method, I can also, if I wanted to, what I'm doing really is I'm popping in a delay. So you can pop in a delay within the sequence at any stage if you need to. So thank you for listening. I know this is a reminder to many of you because you're already pretty familiar with this, but I'm leading into other aspects. So remember, the next video will look at a more complex cascade circuit in respect to having more cylinders. See you then. Thank you.